Sonicstate here at Superbooth 2019 at DPW Design with Dan. Hi Dan.
Hi.
Hi. I have a little confession because I am a big fan. MÖG,
yeah.
means kind of trash.
Dirt. Yeah.
Swedish distortion. It's the primary distortion pedal I use on my pedal board, you see. So I'm a huge fan, and that's an interesting distortion, isn't it? Because it's like 4 independent bands that you can kind of blend together. And it's a really dynamic and detailed, lots of detail in that distortion. Now you've got that also as apart from in the pedal, it also exists is as a Eurorack module as well.
Finally.
And there's also new things in it too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you just show us it?
Yeah. So what I have here is just a normal piano sound, kind of from my peak.
Yeah.
And if I turn on the distortion, just as a, and I try to make it playable. This is not the most dynamically playable keyboard, but. So it's
there's a kind of strange clarity rather than it becoming like a fog of distortion. There's a kind of detail within it.
Yeah, the design from the start is to get around the problems you get with the normal bass distortion, because if you start to drive it hard, it clogs up in the low mid-range and you lose the low end and you lose the transients. And one way to fix that is to do a bypass, but if you do that, you will have to combine the compressed signal with a clean signal, and they don't marry together right.
Yeah.
Another problem is that when you filter something and compress it, you will get a phase delay, and you combine that with the clean, and then you will get comb filter effects that are really harsh and evil.
Which can be a good thing.
Yeah, it could be a good
or a
thing.
bad thing in a good way.
Yeah, depending on what you want for the day.
For the day.
Yeah. So I thought that the bypass idea is a good idea, but why not do a distortion for the low end, and then do a bypass as a distortion that is just for the low end, and then do, as you also lose the transients, you do a distortion that is just for the transient band. And just because I put another distortion in between the low, mid, and the high for coloration. And it's also discreetly designed with just j-fet. So the idea is to make it work as 4 parallel tube amps, more or less.
Yeah, because it has a definite sort of push-pull feel that does feel very tubey. Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yeah, thanks.
But you've got some new developments on it that I want to see, haven't you?
yeah. I did some. When there's a on and off switch, you can do that manually, or you can do it via CV. So if I set a LFO to turn it on and off, you can hear that there's no click. Yeah, and even if I turn out the volume completely, you can use it as a chopper for something. And that is because I designed a way. Well, there's 2 ways to get around the click when you turn something on. You can turn it on slowly, but then you can't go high audio rates. So I did some kind of intelligence. It's all analog in there. So when you tell it to turn on via CV, it waits until the right conditions are met. So it waits in between 1 microsecond up to 50 milliseconds, and then it turns it on completely click-free.
How could it make that decision then?
Well, electronics, it's super. It's almost as intelligent as I am. No, I don't know. It's actually super simple.
Right.
Everything is super simple when you've designed it.
Okay.
So there's a thing you can do then. Since it has this waiting period, if you use a high audio rate signal to turn on the distortion, that is unsynced with the incoming material, it will skip some of the cycles, and you get some kind of aliasing. So I can show you that. So if I have this filter as a on and off, so this is just clean signal, and depending on how you set the frequency, you can get this really gnarly sound, but still it isn't too much in your face.
No,
it's just
still got the detail.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there other things here that are new that you want to show?
Yeah, well, there's. Let's see. Shall I show you first the limiter? It's fairly new.
Okay.
It is a 3-band limiter, 3 individual limiters in one very compact, module. It's and it could be AC or DC coupled.
Right.
And it brick wall limits to plus minus 5 volt with a soft knee, or it's actually 8 consecutive knees. So you have 8 soft knees in a row. And I did it that way, so it should be as transparent as possible.
Right.
And it's really great on drums. So if I turn on some drums, like this. So this is just I'll take that away. So it's just a kick drum and rings. And rings is kind of weak compared to the kick. So if I turn just rings on, and I use my switch over here, and turn on this, on and off doesn't do much, because in this case it's 1 times amplification, so you can use it as a volume control. And up here it's about 2.5 times compression, and it's still fairly transparent, and it goes up to 5 times compression. So if I go, say, like this and turn the kick up again, it sits better in the mix. And if I use another channel and put that on the complete drum bus, I can make everything really all the way up to distorted. So the idea with it is both for dynamic audio material, but also for control voltages.
Control voltage.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you say you mix 2 LFOs and they happen to coincide, you have a 10-volt signal. So by running it through this at -6 dB down from the 5 volt, it starts rounding it off. So you don't just get a clipping. You still have the details on the top, but they are just a lot smaller. So you will never go above plus minus 5 volts. So I use that on all sorts of things. And if you use it on envelopes, you do drum envelopes, snappy ones, and you start cranking up the limiter, you start make a little bit of a plateau in the beginning.
Right. Yes. So you can use that actually as a shaping shaping tool. Okay.
Yeah. So you put a VCA before it, you can pump it different.
Yeah, great. So it's utility, but also can be used creatively as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then I have a wave shaper. It's called shape, but it's some kind of very odd take on almost like a transient designer, but not quite, I guess. So it is. I have a setup here with just playing cymbal samples, really boring. So I patched out all the individual parts from it, so it's easy to show. Like this. So this is the clean signal, and this is the transient. So you can tune that in to be just a snappy part in the beginning, and then you get a channel with more the washy trails, and it also has one of these compression circuits in it that is up to 10 times compression. And I haven't have it set up here, but it could be great on very complex material like wavetables, FM, street sounds, whatever. And you can then use it as some kind of very open distortion because it doesn't compress. It takes away things from the sound, so it gets distorted but more open.
Interesting.
And panning it out in stereo, you could get really interesting pseudo stereo effects with it.
So in terms of availability, then.
It's all
available now?
Yeah, I have one more little thing.
Oh, please, carry on. Yeah,
I can show you this one.
Oh, the switch.
Yeah, the switch. It is, in a way, just a switch. Bi-directional analog switch. You can go in one and out there, or in and out. Anyway, could be momentarily, could be latching. And for ergonomics, I put it like, if you have a stereo bus coming in, it should be easy to pop it in and pop it out. And then you can CV control it. And in my manual, I say it's switching clean up to well above 100 kilohertz. And it's actually tracking up to almost 500 kilohertz. So you can use it very creatively for switch wave transformation.
Is that using a similar sort of switching that you talked about earlier?
No, there's no intelligence. It just switches.
It's just a switch. Okay.
But you could then do it. You could go in an audio rate signal, cut out a piece, and replace it with something else, and go back again, really fast, or reorganize your rack at high audio rate in real time, and do really wonky things. So it's a simple one, but very useful.
Oh, excellent.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, Dan.
Availability.
Availability, yes, please.
So all my modules, the wave folder, the attenuator, the switch, and the limiter are available since some time back. The 4-band distortion, I just have a patch I need to remove, so that will be a little over a month, I guess. And the shape, transient designer type of thing, I would guess about 2 months, because I would love to play with it myself for a while to see if I should add or something and so on.
Okay.
Because I only had it for 3 days before I came here.
Oh, fair play.
Yeah.
So, but it is important to actually play test things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much. It's really, really interesting.
Thank you.
Yes.